Mrs. ETTA MOSORE is the Deputy Director General for Managerial Operations, a role that places her at the heart of leadership and strategic decision-making within Ghana's communications sector. With over a decade of experience across both the public and private sectors, Mrs. MOSORE has built a distinguished career in telecommunications law, cybersecurity, regulatory compliance, intellectual property, arbitration, and corporate governance. Her legal expertise spans multiple industries, including telecommunications, broadcasting, aviation, competition law, and employment law. Mrs. MOSORE is a barrister at law of England and Wales, a barrister and solicitor of the Supreme Court of Ghana, and a notary public. She holds a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology from Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, an LLB from University of London, and a postgraduate law qualification from BPP Law School. She has also earned postgraduate certifications in computer and communications law and international business law, alongside a Prince 2 project management certification. In addition, she is a certified mediator in civil and commercial cases, strengthening her expertise in dispute resolution. Her public sector career includes key managerial and advisory roles at the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, the Attorney General's Department and Ministry of Justice, and the National Communications Authority itself. Beyond public service, she has contributed to legal education as a lecturer at Zenith University College and Empire African Institute, teaching the English legal system and legal research. With her depth of experience, leadership, and commitment to governance, Mrs. ETTA MOSORE is poised to play a vital role in shaping the future of Ghana's digital and communications landscape. It is my pleasure to introduce Mrs. ETTA MOSORE, who will be sharing insights on the topic, from code to compliance.
Rightly see from my profile, it means that some years back, I wasn't part of the percentage of women who were in tech. What does that tell us? It means that it's never too late. And at the time that I was in the university reading sociology and French, the minister was in tech already. So you could see that difference, how many, like 20 years? And I finally found myself in tech as well. So it says that it's never too late to start. But one thing that I would tell all women here, it's never too late for us to start, but it's also very early for us to encourage the young ones, so that it doesn't be like they grow up before they see that they can also venture into it. But as we are all here, I encourage us to encourage our girl child, so that when we give, the nation and the whole world indeed will gain. All right, so when I heard about the topic code to compliance, I said, normally when people hear about law, regulation, they're like, what are they talking about? What do we have to do? I don't want you to sit here and hear about compliance or code to compliance and feel like it's a very difficult thing. Rather, you should see it as a space where you're going to be guarded, you're going to be regulated to protect your own investment, protect your own ideas. So one day, someone was just sitting there and said, okay, I'm bored. I actually want to see somebody online, but I don't want everybody to also know that I'm the one until I find somebody to meet. And a dating site came up. But then as you sit in your room and you start collecting data and all that, is it that you can just do it without any regulations? No. Just like you see the seas and then the skies, there are actually laws governing them. So you remember some time ago, Ghana had to go to the ITLOS to actually demarcate our sea. So you see them, everybody's running, swimming, the fishes are okay, but no, there are actually rules that are regulating all that. Same as the skies, you see airplanes flying here and there. And let me give you one example. When the drones started coming in, we realized that in Ghana, we didn't have laws that were actually guarding the drones, how far they should fly, how low, how close to the airport, how close to the telco and the tower company. But gradually we had it. So I would say that technology is running at a pace that law must catch up. And so sometimes technology has outrun the law, but then there's still no need or no lateness in trying to make sure that we regulate it. And in regulating, we are also mindful of the fact that there are investments, people's data must be protected, and the people must also have trust in using those technology. Now, I would take this opportunity to sort of demystify your mind when we talk about regulations in Ghana. Ghana is one of the countries that are really blessed to sort of have agencies manning these data regulations. So the first one we have is the Data Protection Commission, and they come under the Data Protection Act, where they protect data. Now, I'll give you three things just to take home when we come to data protection. So we have what we call the data subject, we also have data controllers, and we have data processors. So when you wake up in the morning, you just do a form online, or you code something and you want people's details. Remember that as soon as you take data in, you have a responsibility to also protect the data. So Uber, for instance, here are data controllers, because they collect the data and they determine how it's going to be used. And so if you also develop an app, no matter how small it is, and you take data, you must get a data protection certificate, because you are collecting data. Again, remember, if you are processing, it means that, let's say Uber, I'll use Uber again, they use Stripe to do their payments online. So they use the data that they collect, give it to Stripe to also process payments online. And so they are data processors, and they also have to abide by the data rules. How would you feel if you fill your name here, your forms, everything, and the next minute somebody sends you a message from India telling you that, oh, welcome to India, even though you're not in India? And you just remember, oh, I just gave my data to Kofi Annan Center. So there's a reason why we protect the data of people. And also for you to understand that when you are coding, when you come up with an idea, always make sure you fit yourself into the rules of the nation. Again, who is a data subject? All of us here are data subjects at some point. When you come in and you scan and you put in your data, it means that you are a data subject. We are taking information from you. How do we use it? It's very important. And at National Communication Authority, we are always working with the telcos to sort of help people to make sure that the data you give is used for just that and nothing more. And you also have the option to actually say stop to the number that sends you, and so you don't receive unnecessary or unsolicited data. So these are the three things or four I want you to take out from the Data Protection Committee. You always need a license. The license range from the kind of data that you do, and you have to find out whether you're a data protector or a data controller or a data processor or a data subject. The second is a cyber security. So these days we hear cyber security all around the place, and it's very crucial. So you realize that now we are talking about building systems that are cyber immune. You know, in the olden days, we will have computers, we will have apps, and later we'll put antivirus on it. Now we are looking at moving where technologies that are built already have the cyber immune systems in them. And so you don't now have to now think, oh, what's the security there? We now put it on it. But then we envisage that. So whenever you have an idea, you have a code to build, ask yourself, how are you going to protect all this? Because imagine you just send a Momo or you use a platform to pay, and the next minute, all the money in your account is gone. And the next minute, you find that it's actually in, let's say, Dubai, in a minute. So you should understand that when you find yourself in a space and they talk about compliance, no, it is to protect you, it is to protect your right, and it's to also build trust for every person who wants to use it. And so that's one thing about the cybersecurity. And with the cybersecurity, there are three things I want you to take away here. If you're a cybersecurity organization established, you need a license from cybersecurity. If you're also a cybersecurity professional, you also need a license. So the 1 million coders and those who will be trained, remember that once you get the certification, you must also register with the cybersecurity so that you will have that gives you the trust for people to deal with you. and also realize that you are complying with the laws to also ensure that everybody who comes on your platform is also protected. Now, the last one that I will talk about is in the telco space, which I find myself in. So we are doing so many things to ensure that we protect the consumer. And one of the key things that we are also looking at is to do something we call the regulatory sandbox. So this is to help startups and also new technology or emerging technology. Recently, the minister has already launched the AI and emerging technology policy. So it's one thing that we are working together so that if you have any new idea, new technology, we are not going to subject you to the same rules or regulations like, let's say, MTN comes up with a new tech. But rather you'll be put in a controlled space where you are all going to be given, let's say you are supposed to pay a license fee of, let's say, 200 Ghana cedis. It might be waived or up to 50 cedis, so that you come into that space. Why do we put you in that space? One, we want to see how the technology works. Two, we want to be able to also control and also protect consumers so that we don't just take you out when we haven't monitored you for, let's say, 6 months to 10 months to see that indeed this app works, and so you need the law. If you look at Australia, for instance, they've done one of these things where after they put you in that control space, if they find the tech to work well, when you come out the first 2 years, you don't even pay a license fee. So this is a way that we are also looking at to do in order to help the startups, in order to also encourage women who have all these ideas to code it. Remember, when you have an idea and you don't express it, you cannot protect it. Just having an idea in your head that you want to set up something doesn't make it an expression. It's when you express it and when you put it in a source code, then you'll be able to protect it under copyright. So remember one thing, you can only have this code protected when you have expressed it in your source code that you build. Then the third thing that we'll ask yourself is, what women in tech need to know? Now, before I will even talk about that, I want to admonish us women. There are so many opportunities that we see, so many opportunities that come our way, but we don't share. How I got into the tech space was from men. They were like, oh, Etta, you're a lawyer now, you are doing this. I think you should move on to tech. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And you see, they will grab your hands and hold you, and then you get in there. But women will get, oh, you realize that they are in Dubai. Oh, we have this conference. Oh, why didn't you mention? Oh, I didn't know you were interested. We are being real, right? So please, let's share. The sky is open. Every airplane flies. Every animal flies. Still, there are still open skies that we see without animals. Let's share. When we get ideas, let's come together as teams. If you look at some of the fintech companies that have come up in Ghana, for instance, they were friends, boys, guys who came together and they decided to set it up. Where are the women who came together and decided to set it up? I want to admonish and encourage all of us that in knowing all these and getting the knowledge, you share. And when we give, we gain. The last thing I will look at here is that don't ever think that we making you comply with rules and regulation will stifle your innovation. I've already hammered it, that it's not the intention. And that's why as regulators, we are even looking at having that regulatory sandbox. In fact, Bank of Ghana has recently done one for startups in the fintech company, where they are having about a few of the companies in that environment to help them to see what they have to offer and later bring them on board to the bigger space. The last thing that I would want to share is that women, let's empower ourselves. Let's always ask ourselves, do we have to get to a point before we veer into it? Or do we have to come together to be able to? Most of the codes cannot be built by one person. So if you look at Apple and Samsung, for instance, there's something they call essential items in source coding. So if they find out that, let's say I built Samsung phone, and there's, you know, that press thing on the iPhone, you know, that round thing that you press, it became so essential that Then EU had to license all other tech companies in the mobile sector to use it. But then you get money for that copyright that you have. So don't ever think that what you have must be yours and yours alone. There must be a build-up. And that's how we got to a point where now we can have interoperability among phones. If everybody had kept theirs, you cannot even do Bluetooth from one phone to the other. So remember that yours may be an essential one and we'll have to build on it. But the law protects that you were the first or the second who built on it. So always have that in mind. And also remember that if you have it, it doesn't mean that yours is new. It means it's building on others. I hope we are clear with that. So it's not all the time that it has to be freshly new. Sometimes it's a build-up to others. And that's how come we've got all these phones, iPad, we have a Samsung tablet, we have an iPad, we have a Samsung laptop, we have an iOS. And that's how come they are always similar, but people have key licensing agreements between them to be able to advance technology. And I would want to end by saying that you don't need to be a lawyer to know the regulations. Let's be keen, let's read. There are so many online courses now. And as I said, I don't even think I'm 10 years in technology, or maybe I'm more than 12 years in law. So it's never too late to be in there. And one thing that I want to leave with you also is that when women come into regulation, we all believe that we are able to multitask a lot. When we do, one thing about regulation is looking ahead. It's not just regulating today, it's regulating tomorrow. And so when we have a lot of women coming on board, we're able to look ahead and regulate such that it will come to a point where regulation is waiting for technology to get there. On this note, I wish you all a successful day as we continue the program. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, please keep clapping for her until she sits down.